Joining me tonight, retired Navy SEAL, senior chief, and Republican candidate for Wisconsin's 3rd District. He just returned from United Arab Emirates, where he was helping process some refugees and Americans. Derrick Van Orden, DVO, is back. Welcome back. I'm glad you're safe. Tell me about your mission and what you saw.
Well, thanks for having me. It's nice to see you. Hey, I got a phone call from a friend of mine saying, hey, can you help overseas help process folks that have escaped from Afghanistan? And I immediately got on a plane and left because apparently it's up to us individual American citizens to do the job that our government has not been doing. And I'll be very frank with you. I've never been more embarrassed for the government of the United States of America in my entire life, and simultaneously never been more proud of our individual American citizens. Also, I'd like to mention that the government of the UAE and several other Gulf states and adjoining countries have been more, they've gone above and beyond, and they should be commended at the highest levels of our government. So let's be super clear about that. These people have done things that our government has refused to do. Everybody, from the political appointee level up, those are the ambassadors going all the way through the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the the Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, and the National Security Advisor should all be removed from office immediately. They've disgraced the United States on the world stage. So I just did my bit, and quite frankly, I think in the big scheme of things, there's a lot more stuff to do, and unfortunately, the Biden administration will not do them. They're completely incompetent.
So we're hearing that they are shading the numbers in their favor to make it seem like there aren't too many Americans left in country. Antony Blinken is saying that there are only about 100 Americans. We're hearing that it may be as high or higher than 500. And you have congressmen and people who are running for Congress like yourself who are trying to rescue these people in their individual districts, and they're having to work against the State Department. So is the United States government lying to us about how many Americans are stranded in Afghanistan?
Absolutely. The United States government is lying to the entire world right now. The Biden administration, if they've proven one thing, it's that they cannot be trusted at all. So the numbers that they're putting out, I don't believe them. I will not comment on any type of operations that may or may not be being conducted right now to help exfiltrate American citizens or our allies from Afghanistan. That would be an inappropriate topic. But the Biden administration cannot be trusted. And I want to stress that there are consular officers, there are deputy chiefs of mission, there are the average foreign service officer, there's junior members of the United States military that are doing what can only be described as altruistic God's work to remove people from Afghanistan, because the Biden administration is refusing to do so. Those aircraft that are being held in Mazar-e-Sharif, which I've been to probably 50 times, they're there solely because the State Department refuses to allow them to leave the country.
Why would they do that?
That is criminal.
If there are Americans on those planes, their excuse is we can't verify the manifests. The country is falling apart and falling into terroristic hands by the day. Right. So why not allow them to leave and then process those people in third countries like the one you just visited?
Right. So here's my guess at what's taking place in the State Department, because I can only guess because no one can actually discern a meaningful thought coming out of that department right now. They went so far overboard so that President Biden could have a statistic to read to people. We've removed 127,000 people from Afghanistan. No country in the world could do this, right? Okay, that was just a number. How many of those people actually helped us? How many of those were actually American citizens? 5,000, 10,000 maybe? So the State Department went so far overboard, and they realized, holy beans, what have we done? We need to slow this process down. So what the State Department is doing right now is what they should have been doing 7 months ago. They realized that they are bringing people into the country that did not help us. They were not our allies in Afghanistan during the war. And I also want to be very clear. My life was saved by Afghanis. So I'm here speaking on your show today because Afghans saved my life, and we owe them a debt. We said we will help you because you helped us. And as a nation, our word must be our bond. So I'm not saying we should not be evacuating the people that have helped us from Afghanistan. We need to. It's a moral obligation that we have. But we also have a sacred duty to our fellow American citizens to get them out of Dodge when they're in it. And the Biden administration is failing across the entire spectrum.
And they're blaming Americans who are still there.
Yeah, they just left them. They want this to blow over and think everything's going to be okay. I know you're not old enough, but I am, to remember the 52 Americans that were held hostage in Iran. There was 52 of them. And it stopped the entire world for 444 days until Ronald Reagan took office. There was hundreds, if not thousands, of American citizens that are being held by the Taliban. They're being held by the Taliban right now.
Would you
And the Biden
categorize them as hostages at this point?
I would say if you can't leave where you can't go where you want to go, you're being held. Do you want to use the word hostage, detainee? It doesn't matter. It's irrelevant. It's not a matter of semantics. There are American citizens and our allies and permanent residents of the United States that are in Afghanistan that want to leave the nation, and they cannot, and they are not being helped by the Biden administration.
So the Americans who were there in the safe houses who are waiting to get out, especially on those 6 planes, are they being protected by former special operators with guns?
I would not comment on that.
I would like to think that they are. I would like to think that they have some measure of safety from patriotic Americans who have served their country and who are now risking their own lives to save other Americans. And I know that you have, and you would, and you will do the same. Derrick Van Orden, thank you so much.